Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for your patience as we got started here. We're going to give it a couple of minutes for everyone to stream in before we get kicked off. I see lots of folks coming in. All right, it looks like we are live. Welcome to those of you joining us on the Zoom. Welcome to those of you joining us on the live stream. It looks like we've got a lot of folks filing in, so we'll give it just another minute or two before we get the program started. Thank you for your patience as we got just a little bit of a late start today. All right. Looks like we're slowing down now. Okay, everybody, so welcome. Really excited for this program today. I'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing here in a minute. My name is John Nordby. I am the Managing Director for MassChallenge here in Texas. Excited to be your MC for the program this afternoon. To kick us off, I would love to welcome up the Consul General of Italy here in Houston, Mr. Federico Ciattaglia.
Thank you so much, Jon. Welcome to everybody. I'm really happy and glad to be here for this conference on Global Startup Program 2021. We faced difficult moments in past months, but we really hope to look forward. And this occasion is a perfect event to further strengthen and underline the capabilities of Italian companies, of Italian startup. You'll see in the incoming hour how different and how interesting are the products these companies could propose you, and I'm more than happy that these companies will be in MassChallenge Accelerator. So I don't want to take much time to the event, just to remind that we are fully committed in advanced technologies, that we are fully committed in a global energy transition, as you have seen in the events in Milan past days, and this could be also interesting for the future of our startup. As consulate, as Italian trade agency, we really hope to further strengthen the cooperation on high technology and research with the arrival in the incoming months of a scientific attaché within the consulate. We really hope that this could also fit some needs of both varsities and startups and accelerators here in Texas. So thank you so much and enjoy the event.
Thank you, Consul General. Thank you so much for your partnership and for those welcoming remarks. Really excited to be working with your group through this program. Next, I would love to bring up Fabrizio Giustarini, Trade Commissioner for the Italian Trade Agency in Houston.
Thank you very much. I would like to give you some few words about the Global Startup Program, which is a program that offers a period of acceleration abroad at some of the main international players, with which the selected startups have the opportunity to interact with the global systems to increase their skills and to build connections with the potential foreign investors. This is the second edition, and it has over 120 startups on board, and US, Argentina, France, UK, Germany, Israel, United Arab Emirates, and China and Japan are the countries involved in this program. Out of the 120 companies, more than 55 startups have chosen United States as destination country for their journey. Italian Trade Commission's offices here in US involved in the program are Houston, New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. With the excellent collaboration of MassChallenge, the dedicated program in Houston started on September 20th, and it will last until November 5th. During this time, pitching and networking events, meetings with mentors, potential investors, and local startups will be organized to let the participants better know the American market and to find the right partner for that development plans in their country. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we could organize all that only in virtual mode and not physically as original planned. However, we are confident to have the startups coming to US soon and to Houston soon. But we will be able to give some more details about that as soon as the travel bans revocation will be more clear, hopefully soon. With this in mind, it's very important to work in the best possible way during the virtual program. And next weeks are really crucial. To me, building some strong connection with potential investors and partners during next weeks will make the physical stay in US more profitable and effective. As Italian trade agency, we reconfirm our support to startups to solve any possible issue they might face during the program. And we are sure we will be able to count on MassChallenge help and on startups' proactivity for achieving projects' targets. Now, let me thank John Nordby for working with us in this project, my colleagues Giulia, Salvatore, and Patrick for having been working so hard for months and for making this possible. And last but not least, the startups that from the beginning believed in this project and have been so patient waiting its start. Thank you very much and good luck for the project.
Thank you, Trade Commissioner. Really appreciate the partnership and not only the dedication to this program, but as you mentioned, the flexibility as we've been, trying to take what would normally be an in-person experience and stretch that out to this virtual experience has been interesting and a challenge, but also I think really fruitful. So thank you to you and your team for the partnership here. I should have mentioned this at the top of the call. I think we had an agenda that was pulled up here, so I'm going to hit that real fast and then give a couple words on the partnership and what we've been doing here today. So we've got a great panel lined up for you all. We have thank you. There we go. So we have Alessia from the Italian Chamber of Commerce here in Texas, Arash from Roboze, which is an Italian startup that's recently expanded to Texas, and Ryan Frere from Flywire, which is a MassChallenge alumni that began in the US and recently expanded to the EU. So we'll have a great conversation around some of the challenges, some of the opportunities, some of the lessons learned in expanding internationally. And then, not that the rest of the program isn't exciting, but the most exciting part to me is you get to meet the startups. So we've been fortunate enough to work with these 7 startups really since January of this year, get to know them, understand their business, begin to help them. And as we sort of begin this dedicated portion of our program, which as the Trade Commissioner mentioned, will run through early November. We get to work with them more hands-on, more in depth, with more programming. But I've personally gotten to know them. I'm really excited to introduce them to you and have you get to know them as well. All right, so a couple quick words on what we do to kind of set the stage as well. So most of you may know, so MassChallenge is a nonprofit. We don't take any equity from startups. Our mission is really to equip bold entrepreneurs to disrupt the status quo. We run various forms of our programming in 9 locations. We have programming in 14 different countries. I think we have another slide here that shows a little bit about our footprint. What's important here, though, is not just that we're in those countries, but there was a study done from the Startup Genome Project that I highly recommend you check out. They do a startup ecosystem report every year. One of the things that stuck with me since 2018 when we've worked with them extensively is that one of the metrics that has the largest effect or is one of the leading indicators to a startup success is how early in their development cycle they are accessing global markets. That means how early in their cycle they're thinking about developing products to solve global challenges, how early in their development they are interacting with founders, experts, mentors, investors in markets outside of their home market. That single shift in their thinking early on, according to the Startup Genome, led startups to be over 2.1% more likely to be successful and raise funding than those that didn't. And that's an important stat to us, right? Because as we think about innovation and startup development in general, the more perspective we can get across countries, across borders, across industries, we know the more successful startups are going to be. And that's why we have been fortunate here at MassChallenge in Texas and very excited to work with the Italian Trade Agency on this global startup program and welcome these startups in. And to be honest, we see a big benefit in being able to take these 7 startups, which are fantastic, expose them to the US market and what's happening both within Texas and broadly in the US to further their development. But the great thing about this sort of transaction is, if you will, is the startups that are in our local ecosystem that are going through our programs here in the US, they also get to learn from these 7 startups, and they get to learn from the expertise that comes when we cross these borders to share this knowledge. So it's really been a fantastic partnership. And in the spirit of that partnership and in the spirit of that knowledge transfer, I'd love to introduce our panel now. So I'm going to ask Arash, Ryan, and Alessia if you will turn your cameras on and join me on the virtual stage. We've got an awesome group here of folks. I mentioned briefly in my intro, Arash with Roboze has recently expanded to Texas, to the US from Italy. Ryan, who's a MassChallenge alumni with Flywire back in, I think it was 2010, which feels like a long time ago. It's not that long ago, but it was a while ago. Has recently or has navigated that expansion from the US into the EU. And then, of course, Alessia from the Italian American Chamber of Commerce, who gets to see these stories a bit more broadly. To start with, I'd love if y'all could, I am horrible at introductions, so like that's the extent of my intro, and I'm sure you will give much better ones. So I would appreciate it if y'all would do that. Arash, can we start with you? Why don't you give us a quick intro on your role on Roboze and how long you've been operating in the US, and then we'll dive into some of the details in a minute.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Thanks to ITA for this opportunity, Council General, Trade Commissioner. My name is Arash Shadravan. I'm the Energy Business Development Manager for Roboze. Roboze is an industrial 3D printing company, and it's an honor to be here as part of this program.
Awesome. Thanks, Arash. And then Ryan, why don't you give us a little bit of an intro, a little bit about Flywire.
Sure thing. Nope. To your point, while 2010 doesn't feel that long ago in startup world, it's eons for sure. So excited to be here. Always happy to support MassChallenge. It's great being an alum on the panel for sure. Myself, Ryan Frere, been with Flywire for 7.5 years now. So most of the journey. Joined when there was about 35 people trying to go after something really big for us at that point in time. My role today is running our business vertical. The first 6 years I spent running our payments division, which actually we led all of our global expansion through that group. And that consists now of offices in 12 different markets worldwide. The nature of our business from a company that helps customers get paid from anywhere in the world meant that we had to start global. So while we have a Boston headquarters and a Valencia engineering headquarters in Spain, it was a very, very quick need for us to expand globally, and I'm excited to chat about that today.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. And Alessia. And if you're playing Zoom bingo at home, this is our first. I was on mute and didn't know it. Yep. It's a little early for shots, so we'll go with bingo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now.
Okay. So thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be part of this project. My name is Alessia, and I'm the director of the Italian American Chamber of Commerce of Texas. We are a no-profit corporation that together with ITA and the Italian consulate, we are part of what we call the Sistema Italia. Our goal is mainly to promote and to support trade relations between Italy and United States. Of course, we are focused on this South Central area that is Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. And we've been here in Texas in the last 3 decades, supporting Italian companies from innovation to food and wine, to energy, lifestyle, life science, biomedical, aerospace, defense, whatever, all those businesses see our companies very competitive. Italian companies are competitive in all those systems. We believe that with innovation, we have a lot to say. We are really ready for a market so competitive and so large So altogether, we are really here to support and to help them to, to ease their changes, because of course we have different cultures, we are far from each other, and we need some facilitators. That's what we are.
Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all again for being here. I'd love to start, Arash, with you because I feel like the story is maybe a little bit more recent. Why don't you walk us through a little bit of what that expansion was like from Italy to Texas or broadly in the US? We'd love to hear about any of the challenges along the way. We talk a lot at MassChallenge about the celebrating the failures and understanding where the challenges are that don't get discussed too much.
That's what we are.
So we'd just love to hear about that. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all again for being here. What's happening there? Sorry, I got a little feedback that might have been on my end. All right.
Okay, no problem. Well, thank you for the question, John. I think again, it's a pleasure to be here on behalf of Roboze in this panel. You having an opportunity as a startup right now in Italy, bringing the ingenuity of Italians to the land of opportunity is great. And I think facilitators like Alessia said, and mentors, people that could help you with that process, it's an amazing support system. So we started our business about 7 years ago in the south coast of Italy. And we came from the south coast of Italy to the south coast of the United States to Houston for a reason, because we knew that the Houston has such a rich landscape of talents, and we could definitely grow. Now, some of the challenges that we had, you can imagine the culture is a very dynamic world, even in the big corporate America. But you can imagine, you can think about startup, how evolving your culture could be. So initially you seeded the plant in where your first base was, and now you want to go across the Atlantic and then grow that. So part of that is keeping the internal culture identity, but at the same time trying to expand it and nurture it to grow. We are today a scale up. So we were a startup, we grew, and we are just shy of 100 people globally. So having the continuity of communications and trying to alignment and having a growth strategy is instrumental really as a startup for you to really ponder and think about what would be your strategy going there. As far as opportunity, I would say, John, coming to the US, exposing this level of ingenuity and solutions that we have for industrial additive manufacturing and 3D printing, bring the cost down, bring them the lead time down, and really allowed us to connect to the very, very high level customers. So thanks to this the setups that ITA, we're a member of the Italian American Chamber of Commerce as well as ITA, and being part of this support system really allowed us to be nurtured well. We connected with a lot of well-known brands and organizations that gives us ability to have the right visibility, like you rightfully said, at the right stage of our growth in the US. So actually we could have a pull through. Today, we are playing leadership roles for industrial additive manufacturing for the standardization efforts in the industry, in the energy industry. So that is just like really, really profound testament and really indicative of how profound and important is the role that your program, the Italian Trade Commission, and the Italian American Chamber of Commerce role is to play.
Awesome. What a great perspective. I'm a little upset that we don't have a lot of time to dive deeper into all of these things. There's a lot of pathways we can go down, and we may have some time to get to some of this, but awesome perspective. Ryan, I'd love to hear the similar story, but going the opposite direction.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, each of these topics we probably could spend a few hours on because there's a lot behind it. And Arash, I can definitely remember some of the things as you're mentioning it that we went through at Flywire in our expansion and our journey. One thing in there that I actually think sometimes gets overlooked that you brought up is that ability to be able to communicate with your team once you're set up in a more global fashion. The ability to put the right tools in place, the right, and I think the last year probably helped force a lot of that on companies, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons. But that ability to communicate well is really critical to the team's success. So starting with that point, just because, again, it really does come back to people and how you run your organization, and that those chains of communication are really critical. We started, as I mentioned before, it was a startup in Boston. We had an office in Valencia right away off the bat. So we started with that global presence to begin with. spent a lot of my career in product, so I can speak to the product side a little bit. But the number one thing, and it was mentioned, is don't overlook the cultural impact of whatever market you're getting into. A growth strategy is critical, don't get me wrong, understanding how you're going to go win in that space, getting some read on it. But if you don't hire local, if you don't have the ability to get into the local market and really understand how it differs from where your home base is, you're setting yourselves up for some challenges or possibly failure in those cases. So I'll start with those two things. Happy to get into any other areas, John, for you as you want, but those are a couple of probably big topics we could dive into for a while.
Those are big and those are good ones. And I think we will have the chance to dive into them. But I think it's also a great time, Alessia, to bring you in to hear a little bit about, like, does that resonate with the companies that you see? I know you touched sort of a broader range, more markets, different sort of size and scale of companies, sort of really across the spectrum. So I'm curious, one, like just that broad perspective, then also are these sort of key themes around communication and culture resonating with what you hear from those folks? And we have the second bingo slot again.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Was on, and then I always forget. So I would say on a more general point of view, as a Chamber of Commerce, we meet and we deal with every kind of business. I would say that definitely Texas is a great opportunity. We know that it's a huge state. As a state, is the 9th largest economy in the world, and it's definitely, and it's known for a business-friendly state. So it has a robust infrastructure. Texas has everything for our companies, but sometimes to have a lot and to be a huge economy can be a challenge, because Italian companies, and when we are talking about innovation and startup, we are talking about not just small size, but we are talking about micro size sometimes. So of course, the size can be a challenge. And this is something we deal with very often. Everybody has already said about communication, different business model, and that's of course that in the thing, because we are different, and of course these needs. So usually we see the startup needs to be well informed. They need to be, pragmatic, and they definitely, because very often the key to success is do as the locals do. So this is something that really we need to consider. And as a Chamber of Commerce, we are composed of business people, because the Chamber of Commerce is made of Italian and American companies that work together and want to help each other. So our role is as Italian business people, so we know how to do business in Italy because we have been living there, we have done business there, and as locals, because we are local, we live in Houston, in Texas, in America, we try to, to sometimes just underline that some differences are our strength. With some other difference, we need to go further and to learn how to do business in a different way.
This is such an awesome perspective, and I love when panels like this come together, because to be candid, for those of you watching, we don't really know what we were going to talk about when we got into this, but I love how it's done down this path of like how important the culture is, because I think back to the really early days of the partnership that we created here with the ITA, and talking to Salvatore and Julia, and just remembering that was one of the most important elements that they wanted to pull out of this program is, when we think about things that are, more traditionally fit into the startup development bucket, right? Sales and marketing and growth strategies and raising money. A lot of that stuff can be fairly universal. Where it gets really tricky is navigating that cultural experience of what that looks like and what that means on the ground, right? So I love that this conversation is going there. And in that same spirit, I wonder if we can talk about that, right? So this is kind of open to anybody here, but really, really curious your perspectives on, when a startup or really any size company launches a new office in a new market, depending on which direction they go, What have you seen has been effective for those startups to really get to understand the culture as fast as possible? I know, Arash, you mentioned like hiring locals is super important, right? But what other sort of like concrete things have you all seen that's worked to really bridge that cultural gap as fast as possible?
For me, right, John?
Sure,
Yeah?
for anybody, but yeah, please jump in.
Any of us. Go ahead, Alessia.
Yeah, well, I would say that being part of it, networking, talking with people, and becoming part of, because again, coming to Texas is different than coming to any other US state. So you really need the network of people that can become your partner, can become your employee, can become your consultant, your expert. So the network is definitely a great solution for this gap.
I think that's a huge point. I mean, it was one I was going to pick up on as well. You know, if I go back to thinking about when we opened our offices in Tokyo or Singapore or Brazil even, so much of it, you know, hiring locally, absolutely critical. Like you need a local leader to actually start building that team out. I think it's really one of the important things to consider as well, though, is who from your organization are you going to send to be part of that cultural transfer of information for the company as well? So it's not just the culture of the market you're moving into, but it's also how do you continue to propagate the culture of the business that you have? You know, so there's those two levels from the people side, but then very importantly, what are the organizations you want to align with in the market you're going to? Are there companies like or organizations like MassChallenge who can help be a resource for you? You know, finding those groups that are there to help incubate and build startups or help build office locations within a new region is really beneficial. And on that note, I will say too, there are a lot of ways to spend a lot of money to do that. I actually don't think you need to. I think there are plenty of organizations that you can do it without spending anything and learn enough about the market to be successful from this angle.
Yeah, I can't agree more with Alessia and you, Ryan, because frankly, I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit, talk about the value proposition of your solution, you as a startup that you're bringing in. You know, I'm sure, Ryan, when you were going to overseas market or us coming to the US, we as a solution provider, we had some lines in mind. This is what we're doing in the market. As we matured this messaging and start like talking to the end customers and end users, we actually start hearing them very, very effectively and start actually improve. And I would just say somehow tailor our messaging towards the value proposition from a customer's perspective. This is true for every solution provider, but it's specifically for startups because we're kind of new into this evolution and in this path. So it's important to actively listen to the feedback that you're getting from the local market for your solution in Brazil, in the US, in Texas. It could be a little bit different. So actively listen to them, internalize them, and then make yourself stronger and stronger in the market. And frankly, everybody has a learning curve. The learning curve in different locations could be a little bit different, but internalizing the feedback system and taking advantage of it, not just getting defensive. They're not trying to shoot you down. If they're coming with a criticism, they're just like, this is the way they're seeing it. And using that as a fuel to empower your solution, it's very, very effective.
Yeah, there's some great points in there, and I always think of humility being when you are going into a new market. Humility is key as a trait. Like you have to be, to your point, you're going to hear some things that you weren't expecting, and maybe it's feedback, maybe it's a different direction, but you have to be willing and open to hearing those things that are going to be different from where you're coming from. And I love the point on customer too, because it's so important. So many times you see companies with a great product and service in one region or one market, and without any external validation, they just go launch themselves into a new space, thinking it's going to be just as successful. And so for me, what it highlights is the need to either, depending on your solution, of course, can you go find early customers? Can you find some early adopters that will actually help you come into a region? See, to your point, the value prop. Does the value prop even make sense in this new market you're looking at? Like you can't make any assumptions around it. Just, great, I was successful here in Italy or Boston, or take your pick. We're just going to go drop this, a cookie cutter. We're going to take it and say, yep, we're going to do the same thing in this other region. And what's going to end up happening, especially as a startup, you're going to spend a lot of time, money, and talent on trying to do something that maybe ultimately won't even be successful because you didn't do some of that early work. Those are great points. I really appreciate those.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is all right. I'm watching the clock here because there's so many directions I want to go. There is one other theme I wanted to get to, though, which I know we've only got maybe a couple minutes to touch on this. But one of the questions that comes up a lot, big point of conversation, is not just around customers, but around investors and how that cultural difference affects raising money, potentially, or developing relationships with investors. The power dynamics in those conversations can be quite different than those in a customer relationship. So I'm curious, and I should have done maybe more research here, but I'm curious, as y'all expanded, did you raise money internationally, or how did that affect your fundraising conversations locally? Or maybe just give us some perspective on that.
Yeah,
Arash, please go ahead.
Ryan, I think was intentionally not unmuting. Okay. Yeah. So no, thank you for the question, John. I think it's critical. So when you start, introducing your solution to the market, that's one thing. But when you're, asking for commitment, financial commitment from, investors, that's another thing. So we as Roboze, we've been actually fortunate to have revenue. We've been organically growing, and we had, of course, investors as well. So one thing I want to mention about this I would say interaction that all startups would have with the investors is that try to be very clear with where you're making the impact and understand your competitions very well. If you don't know, if you cannot explain it simply to your parents, you cannot make it. And you got to just be very clear, really concise. And I think culturally, sometimes we get passionate and we want to explain more about our solutions, but actually we end up, winning less. So that's one advice, or I would just say recommendation I want to share based on experience that we've had.
It's a great point in there for sure. And I'll speak quickly to it for the Flywire side. So we've been very successful in our startup journey. We're now public. So we actually went through a number of fundraising rounds before it, as you would expect. One of those we purposely selected to lead with an international investor, so our Series D, because we were focusing an effort on increasing our presence across APAC. So we had launched a solution. We had a few offices in region, but we decided, based on what we had seen from early wins or early gains, that it was worth investing more. So we purposely went to market for, in this case, it was Temasek, who led our Series D, Singapore-based, and we were able to get a lot more out of having that international investor with us than we would have if we had tried to work through the current investor pool we had. Not that they weren't great, but the connections, the network, and then obviously they're very invested in our success in the region. So they opened up a lot of doors for us in a way. So I think depending again where you are in your journey and where you are in that fundraising approach, if the timing is right and you really are looking to invest a lot and expand globally, getting the right investor with you in those regions can be really helpful.
Awesome. All right, we are a little bit over time, but I think that also means we're actually right on time. And to your point, Arash, I think so we have 7 startups who are about to pitch. No pressure, y'all, but it sounds like the bar has been set. So before we move on to that, though, thank you very much, you all, for joining. Alessia, Arash, Ryan, thank you for the perspective. Super helpful. We are going to transition to startup pitches now. Please hang out. And I should have mentioned this as we transition. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the insight and the info. As we transition, a little bit about what to expect. So we are going to do sort of brief-ish 1-minute pitches, roughly. We're going to call the startups up one by one. As the startups get through these pitches, the next 7 startups, the event will come to an end at that time. So if you're joining us here in Zoom or if you're watching on the live stream, we will shut that down, but there is a networking event afterwards where you can come in, you can interact with the startups, you can meet them. We'll put those links up everywhere so that you can come over to that. If you registered on the Eventbrite, that will be the second link there. That's the networking link. So have that ready to go, because at the end of this, we will pop over to there. And I think we just put it into the chat. All right, let's meet some startups. Y'all excited for this? I'm excited for this. Okay, so we're going to bring them up one by one. We are going to start with Acme 21. So it may take just a second here to transition and get them up here. And we will let them take it away as soon as we do. Let's see. go. There's the slide, and let's bring them in. There's Roberto. All right, Roberto, welcome.
Hi.
All right, take it away.
Okay. So, hi, we are the team of Be Secure. What we do, we monitor pollinator in order to help beekeeper, farmer, and researcher to save time and discover new stuff about pollinator. How it works, we plug our little IoT device inside different type of nest of pollinator. We are able to monitor honeybee, bumblebee, different type of mason bee. These type of insects are the reason why over the 80% of the food we eat every day exists. We collect real-time information from the nest, and we are able to provide a real-time customized report for beekeeper, farmer, and researcher. So we help them saving time and saving money. We started 3 years ago. All our products have a subscription. We have a 90% retention rate with over 500 paying customers. Thank you.
Awesome. Good job, Roberto. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Diamante. So we will transition. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Diamante. There we go. All right. So let's bring in Diamante. Here we go. There's Valentina now. All right, Valentina, you can take it away. If you're in, Valentina, are you able to come off mute?
Okay.
There we go. All right, we got you. All right, Valentina, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Valentina Garonzi, and I'm the CEO of Diamante. Diamante is a biotechnology company with the mission to improve global health using plants, creating a new way of molecular farming. We aim to create the world's first therapeutic approach for autoimmune diseases using plant viruses and their production in plants. Our main project is the development of a specific therapy for rheumatoid arthritis. Why? Because the current treatments are too general and cause a lot of side effects. Our approach is safer, cost-effective, more specific, and scalable. We will do the same for other autoimmune diseases. Our goal is to conclude the preclinical studies by 2023 and then move to clinical studies in humans with an industrial partner. We are searching investors and partners to catch this opportunity and grow together. Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, Valentina. Okay, next up, we have DRB, Diego. Let's get Diego on the stage, the virtual stage. All right, here he is coming in. All right, Diego, you are with us. You can come on camera and take it away. Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, John. Hi, my name is Diego Piazza. I'm CEO and co-founder of DRB. We design technology enable safe, precise, and autonomous drone services for infrastructures, industrial plants, and logistics. Our unique value proposition is the combination of the DRB patented system for drones localization and our proprietary AI software. Our solution is very general purpose, so we are able to make fully automatic inspection for wind farms, and we are able to make NDT measures for high voltage power line insulators. For example, we are also using DRB system in indoor and outdoor logistics. And now we have a partnership with Leonardo, and we are designing a new package delivery service in urban scenarios. So by using DRB, you always know where is your drone and why it is there. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Diego. Good job. All right. Next up, we have Energy to Go. Let's get Enrico in and kick Diego out. Kidding. We're gonna swap you out though, Diego. All right. Let's see. There's Energy to Go. Looks like we've got Enrico on.
I'm still there.
You're still here. There's Enrico. All right. Let's see if we can't move that. All right, there we go. All right, Enrico, welcome. Take it away, buddy.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Enrico Caradonna, CEO and founder of Energy2Go. Have you ever found yourself without power on your phone while you were laying on a sunny beach, skiing at the resort, or just enjoying a drink at your favorite bar? Energy2Go, the sun-powered station, aims to provide solar energy to small devices of customers at beach resorts, mountain lodges, campings, restaurants, bars, and even public parks. It is as easy as plugging and charging the device to the station. Cloudy or dark, no worries. Thanks to the battery pack, you can get 24/7 charge and even serve it at the table of relaxing customers. Service can be charged upfront or rather offered for securing amazing user-generated content in social media, with also ad hoc co-sponsored instant win campaigns. Being customizable in color and also in logo, the sun-powered stations serve also to optimize a wide variety of marketing and branding techniques of businesses. With our patented product, Energy2Go can reach 5 million euros in revenue in the next 5 years, with 20,000 units sold and a team of up to 80 people, providing a prime return of investment, utilizing an endless resource of energy, which is the sun. Thanks.
All right, awesome, Enrico. Thank you. Good job. Okay, next up we have MIPRONS with Angelo. So let's get Angelo in. As a quick halfway point check, though, what have we done so far? We've done bees, bioreactors, drones, solar rechargers, and now we're going to hear from a space company. Quite a mix. Just throwing that out there. All right, Angelo.
Hi,
take
John.
it away.
Hi, John, everybody. It's Angelo Minotti. I am the CEO and founder of MIPRONS. The aim of MIPRONS is to develop an innovative propulsion system for satellites, their carriers, launchers, last stages, and extra-atmospheric drones. In particular, our propulsion system is characterized by high thrust in miniaturized dimensions, permitting therefore the accomplishment of maneuvers such as orbit changing and the orbiting much faster than the competitors, speeding up the satellite's operativity.
Bye.
Oh no, looks like we might have lost Angelo there for a minute. All right, I'll tell you what. Why don't we?
The prototype.
Oh, maybe we have him back.
Sorry,
Angelo, we lost you for a minute. Why don't you start over, buddy?
Start again.
Roughly, yeah. I'm not sure exactly where we lost you, but just about 10 seconds in. So go ahead and start over.
Okay. I was saying that our propulsion system is characterized by high thrust and miniaturized dimensions, permitting therefore the accomplishment of maneuvers such as orbit changing and the orbiting much faster than the competitors. So it's possible to speed up the satellite's operativity and then to increase the security of high-value assets. As of today, the project that is patent filed in 49 countries in the world is still under development, and we are at technology readiness level in between 3 to 4, and we foresee to conclude the prototype in the second half of 2022. We have already received many expressions of interest, and agreements with well-regarded international aerospace companies are under negotiation. Thank you all.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Angelo. Awesome job. Sorry about the technical glitch there, but hit reset and got through it. Good job. All right. Let's bring up React for Life next. And where are we at? There we go. There's Maurizio. And we will kick Angelo off screen and bring up Maurizio.
Can you see
There we
me?
go. We got you, buddy. Take it away.
You can see me. Okay. So nice to meet you. I'm Maurizio Aiello, the CEO of React for Life. Well, developing a new drug is a long and expensive process because of preclinical testing is performed on animals. But we are not animals, and therefore we have so many failures during this development phase. Our technology is an organ on chip. It has been patented, validated, and on the market, and it can emulate physiological human system without using animals. At present, we have paying customers, but we need $2.4 million for boosting our scale up. Our attractions comes from 15 years of research and development. At present, we have 3 patents and 2 main sites in Italy and 40 customers that we were able to gain in less than 8 months. Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, Maurizio. Thank you. All right. And last but certainly not least is Stellar Project. So let's bring up Federica. Looks like you are joining us, Federica. Feel free to come on camera and you can take it away. There she is. Hello. All right. Take it away, Federica.
Hello. Good morning to all. I'm Federica and I'm one of the 3 co-founders of Stellar Project. We are a space startup and our aim is to fill in the gap in performance and capabilities between large spacecraft and small satellites. As it happened on Earth, optical communication is also the future for space networks, but you need a lasercom terminal. So here we are. Thanks to our patent technology, we developed a laser cube, which is a small and light laser communication terminal fitting into only 2 CubeSat units, but allowing throughput performance more than 10 times higher than state-of-the-art RF solutions for small satellites. It means a huge increase in data volume, communication security, and speed at a lower cost. We launched LaserCube as a low-set payload last June, and we are planning more missions to follow as we are a stellar project, bright and light. Do contact me. Thank you.
All right. Great job, Federica. All right. It's time to transition now. Awesome job to everybody. So, as I mentioned before, we are going to transition into the networking part of the program, which is a new Zoom link. So we'll be off of this webinar view, but you can come meet the startups. You can come meet my team at MassChallenge, the ITA team. We'll all be there to answer any questions you might have about the program or to help you connect on. It's been an absolute pleasure to run this program, really just to kick it off. It's been a real joy to be working on this since January with a lot of these teams and to really kick off the more intense part of the program from now through November. Again, I want to thank the Consul General, Federico Ciattaglia, for joining us and welcoming us this morning. I want to thank the Trade Commissioner, Fabrizio Giustarini, for your welcome remarks as well. The amazing panel, Arash, Ryan, Alessia, thank you so much for the insight. And of course, thank you to the startups. Y'all did an awesome job. I really am excited to have you all meet them. The link is in the chat. Again, it's with the stream. So if you'd like to come join us on the networking Zoom link, please do that. If you're not able to join us on the networking Zoom link directly after this, or if you're watching this as a recording later, then we are very happy to help you connect to any of the speakers you met today, any of the startups that you saw pitched today, or of course, any of the other 120 startups in the Global Startup Program through the Italian Trade Agency. We love to connect people. That's what we do. So thank you again for being here. One final plug is as we go through this program, we will have a closing ceremony on October 29th. Directly before that, on October 28th, is the showcase. We will have a lot more time to see the startups, interact with them. If you go to masschallenge.org, we have all of our events listed there. If you have signed up for this event, you will likely get a reminder for those events as well. But that will be our next big event to come meet the startups. So I encourage you to put that on your calendar. October 28th for the showcase, October 29th for the closing ceremony. I look forward to see you all there. Thank you so very much to everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I really hope to see you in the networking session. All right, we'll see you there. Thank you so much. Bye.